Hi friends, welcome back to My Healing Kitchen. I'm Rachel from healinghome.co and healinghomerecipes.co, and it is Christmas. It's Christmas season, the time for Christmas mugs and Christmas decorations, lots of Christmas music, and dogs and sweaters. Christmas sweaters. That is something new that I have seen a lot of this year. It has nothing to do with this channel, but just an observation that I've seen. Have you seen lots of dogs in Christmas sweaters? Because I definitely have. Moving right along, today in my Christmas kitchen, we are going to be making something that's kind of a mouthful, but I think it will really intrigue you. We are going to be making Christmas sourdough, trim healthy, mama friendly, sugar-free sugar cookies. Kind of an oxymoron because there's no sugar in these sugar-free cookies. But they are delicious. I think you'll enjoy how beautiful they turn out, and we're just gonna have some fun. So come along in my kitchen as we make these sourdough, trim healthy, mama friendly, sugar-free sugar cookies. So I actually have my sourdough right here. It's all ready to go. I'm gonna roll it out with you guys today. I'm gonna show you a really fun hack to make your sugar cookies very pretty. But this was created about just over a week ago, so it has actually fermented in my fridge for over a week. Yours will be, because of that, my dough, if you can see it, is a little bit darker because it has been fermenting for so long. I took a taste of it this morning, and it does have that very fermented sour taste, but it's not going to necessarily ruin my cookies. This still will taste very good, and this dough is scrumptious. I can't wait to get this dough recipe in your guys' hands. But just note that if you do keep it in the fridge for a long extended time, it's going to have a more soured flavor to it. But it does not ruin necessarily the dough. So if you are making this dough and you are on plan with Trim Healthy Mama, once you make the dough, it needs to sit on the countertop and do a room ferment for at least 7 hours, or double that if you are going to do it in the fridge, and then that makes it on plan with Trim Healthy Mama. If you mix it, bake it right away, that means that it is off plan with Trim Healthy Mama. It must have that room temperature or fridge ferment to be on plan with Trim Healthy Mama. Now, I'm actually not going to make the dough with you guys today on this video, but what I'm gonna do is actually invite you in to a special kind of sneak peek snippet of our recent Tipsmas, 12 Days of Tipsmas coaching group with myself and 11 other Trim Healthy Mama coaches. And this was a paid experience, but I'm just going to show you a small portion of it where I made this dough for another recipe. This is the same dough that I use in my sugar-free thumbprint cookies. So this can double as sugar cookies as well, just it's going to be sugar-less sugar cookies. So this is the same recipe, and I made this in that coaching group. So right now I'm going to give you guys kind of a really cool sneak peek into that Tipsmas class. If you guys want to learn more about Tipsmas and what we offer with our paid coaching experiences, you can go to the tipsmas12.com, and that is where all of our coaching information is. Or you can head over to our Facebook group called the Tipsmas Society, and we have lots going on over there every single week where we offer tips and tricks for staying on plan with Trim Healthy Mama. So I'm going to show you right now that video clip from that coaching live that I did where I made my sourdough thumbprint cookies, and I also walked in detail through doing Christmas cookies, sourdough Christmas cookies on plan with Trim Healthy Mama. So I won't show you the whole video because that would kind of defeat the purpose of it being a paid coaching opportunity for you guys. But I will show you a portion of it. So enjoy as you watch the live of me making this dough. So we're gonna take our butter, and then we're gonna take an entire cup of Gentle Sweet, and we're going to cream them together. Now you can also reduce this to a half a cup if you're a little bit more like Serene and you don't love the powerful sweet flavor. My boys tend to love the sweeter cookies, and so I like creating recipes that are a little bit sweeter for them. So we're gonna cream that together, and hopefully this isn't getting too loud. Is it too loud, you guys, or can you still hear me? I think you guys can still hear me. If you guys have any questions about sourdough, sourdough, make sure that you drop them in the comments. And even if I don't get to answering them on this live, I'll head back to the comments afterward and answer everything. So we're creaming together the butter and sugar. And then we are going to add, I forgot my spatula. I felt like I was so prepared, you guys. And then I've forgotten 2 things already. My goodness. You guys are gonna think I'm some sort of novice or something. That's okay. Real life happens, right? So we're creaming together that, and you do want them room temperature. And then we're gonna add two eggs. Now I have to admit that these eggs are farm fresh eggs. They came directly from my chickens. So I did have to wash them this morning because they definitely did not come out clean. During the winter, chicken coops end up being very dirty. So we'll add the egg and we'll give it another mix. So a little bit, as that's mixing, a little bit refresher on sourdough in case you don't remember. Sourdough takes gluten containing flour. In this case, I'm using Einkorn flour because Einkorn, first, is a Trim Healthy Mama approved flour, and it's also an ancient grain, which means it hasn't been modified in any way, which makes it even more friendly for our digestive system. It's never been treated with any sort of GMOs, so even though Trim Healthy Mama allows for, even a little bit of white flour with sourdough, the Einkorn flour can be just so healing to our gut that I love using those ancient grains. There's a couple other ancient grains that you can use on Trim Healthy Mama, but the Einkorn flour is definitely my favorite. I actually buy Einkorn flour in 10-pound bags now. I have that linked in the link that I provided at the beginning of this video, or it's also in the description. And Einkorn sourdough starters are so easy to make. It just takes a little bit of time, and then you get these lovely bubbly sourdough, the sourdough starters. So I have my butter, my egg, and my gentle sweet all in here, my sweetener. And now I'm going to add my sourdough starter, and I'm going to try to get my sourdough starter close to my camera so you guys can see how bubbly it is. Now, I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can. Einkorn sourdough starter, how I have found, because it's still an ancient grain that doesn't have quite as much gluten, the bubbles are going to be a little bit less than what you see. You can't really see that at all. But this is my big, huge sourdough starter. We're going to use a 1/4 cup. But the bubbles are not going to be quite as big and fluffy as some of the other white flours that you see with sourdough. So I'm just going to grab a 1/4 cup of my sourdough starter. So this is an active sourdough starter, which means that it has been fermenting for at least 12 hours. This one has been fermenting for a full 24 hours, which is even better. The longer things can ferment, the better. So we're done with our sourdough starter now. A note on sourdough starters. They are much more resilient than you think. So if you have a sourdough starter that you think perhaps has went bad, unless it's very, very obvious that it is moldy, give it some time. They are so resilient. There are so many chemical processes happening in sourdough that even when they look like they're getting kind of old, they probably are not. Sourdough starters get hooch on the top, which is a brown liquid. Sometimes it can be brown, sometimes it even can be black. My computer went into sleep mode. I'm not gonna be able to see comments anymore, I'm sorry. So it'll get hooch on top, and that's totally fine. You can stir that hooch in, and unless you see like thick mold, your sourdough starter is resilient. Don't throw it out. It is so resilient. Sourdough starters are amazing. You're not gonna wanna throw them out unless you actually have to. So we have a 1/4 cup of my Einkorn sourdough starter. And we're going to add 2½ cups of normal Einkorn flour. So this is actually a 1/2 cup scoop, so I'm going to put 5 of them in here. 3, it. Now these are a great cookie that you guys could bring to a holiday party. And again, it's one of those cookies that is going to taste amazingly similar to the sugary ones created with the white flour that are completely off plan because it uses that sourdough starter. So I'm going to start mixing it. So the fermentation that happens with sourdough makes the gluten more digestible, which is one of the reasons why people that have gluten sensitivity sometimes, not always, I know that with like Nicole's family, they never could have these cookies, not in a million years. So there are some people that just cannot tolerate gluten, and there are others that have more of a sensitivity that because of the fermentation process, they can handle things like sourdough, especially einkorn, better. So it makes the vitamins and minerals in the gluten and in the sourdough more available and bio-friendly. So that means that it's boosting all of those enzymes and vitamins that are going to be in the bread and the sourdough. So that's why sourdough can taste so delicious, and also why it can be very friendly for our bodies, because there's so many healthy parts to it. So we are now going to add the rest of our ingredients. So I have my Gentle Sweet, my butter, my eggs. I put my einkorn flour in here. Now I need my baking soda, my sea salt, and my vanilla. Now if you guys have never made, I forgot my vanilla too, my goodness. Real life, friends, real life. I went over this recipe at least 5 times and I thought I had everything on my counter, but apparently I didn't. So if you have never made homemade vanilla, it is so easy and it tastes amazing. Highly recommend. I have this recipe over in that link if you want to try making your own. So then we need our salt and our baking powder. Both of these are going to get a ½ teaspoon. And I have my Trim Healthy Mama measuring spoons. And we also are going to make the jelly for these, the jam that goes on top. And I have a really cool trick for you guys to make a quick and sugar-free jam that can go on top of these cookies. So we're gonna finish. Okay, we're finishing making that dough. And you're gonna just wanna make sure that everything is very well combined because this dough is going to be thick. So that was the live from the 12 Days of Christmas, and that is how you make this sourdough dough. Now instead of making it into a sugar-free thumbprint cookie, we are gonna make it just into a sugar cookie. And this is really nice during the holiday season when you need to make a lot of cookies, but you wanna cut down on the time that you are in the kitchen. So make a double batch, use part of it for your thumbprint cookies with that sugar-free jam, and maybe part of it for a sugar-free cookie that your kids can decorate with frosting, or if you're like me, what we're gonna do today in this video is I'm gonna show you these really pretty cookie stamps. Let me take one out. So we're going to roll out our sugar-free sourdough sugar cookies. It's really a mouthful to say. I might have to come up with a different name. And we're gonna stamp them with these adorable and just beautiful looking cookie cutters, or cookie stamps, excuse me. Now, this is just one of the many cookie and baking holiday ideas that I have. And so I also have in the description of this video, there is going to be a little link that will take you to a whole bunch of other decorative rolling pins and cookie cutters and things that I think you'll enjoy for your Christmas season. So you can check that out. And we're gonna get going with my kids in the kitchen. You may hear them in the background because I wasn't able to get them out of the kitchen today for this video. I'm gonna invite them into the kitchen and we are going to roll out our sourdough sugar cookies. Then we're going to do the stamps and we'll bake them up and I'll show you guys the end results. Again, this is just a really fun recipe that you can use during your Christmas season to cut back on how much time you spend in the kitchen. You can split it, make thumbprint cookies, and make some sugar cookies too. Put frosting on it, or do these fun stamps. So come along as we make some sugar cookies. I do have to make one more quick note as my kids are getting their baking hats on and getting ready to come and help me with these cookies. When I took that dough out, I realized it had gotten a little dry in the refrigerator. And so if you find that this cookie dough is a little dry, just take about 1 to 2 tablespoons of butter and just mix it back into the dough. It's going to make the dough much more pliable and easy to work with, and it will give that just a little bit more life into the dough that's dry. If you make this recipe, ferment it right away, you won't need this. But if you did by chance leave it in the fridge extra long like I did, and you found out that it was dry, just grab a couple tablespoons of butter, mix it back in, it'll bring life right back into the dough, and you can carry on.
Stir it up, Wes. Mama, go cut it. First. You're gonna cut it first.
Okay, you go. So we got a stack of the cookies out of the oven. Now this is the first batch, and the snowflake stamp didn't show up too well. You really gotta push that stamp in to get the indentation really nice and crisp. But the second batch that we put in, the snowflakes turned out a lot better. So this first batch is just for the cookies, and that's okay. The kids ate them and loved them. They're still great sugar-free sugar cookies. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us again for more trim healthy mama friendly recipes and homemaking content.